Meeting of January 24th, 22 to order. Would you call the roll, please?
Miller,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
First item is presentation of the 2021 Audit and Financial Report by Williams Keeper, LLC. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, the preparation of this report couldn't be accomplished certainly without the dedicated service of the Finance Department and headed by Roger Haynes and assisted by Vicki Dinky, and I want to thank them for that. And now I will turn it over to Roger to introduce our audit partner and go over the financials.
Good evening, Council. Of course, our fiscal year ended September 30th, 2021. But as about a month ago, we can actually say that we finally got it in the books. We do have with us this evening a couple of specialized governmental audit staff from Williams Keepers, Amanda Schultz, a partner in charge, and Kristen Brown, who supervises the governmental audits. And they are going to, they have before us a PowerPoint, and they're going to discuss briefly their roles in the audit, their audit findings, and then highlight some of the financial notes that are within the report that you have before you, and in some cases make comparisons from fiscal 2021 to 2020. I do want to say that one individual that could not be here tonight is Assistant Finance Director Vicki Dinky, and I assure you she was instrumental in putting this all together.
Thank you for that introduction, Roger. As Roger mentioned, I'm Amanda Schultz. I'm an audit partner at Williams Keepers in Columbia, and Kristen Brown is with me tonight. She was the supervisor on the audit again this year, and we'll be splitting our presentation this evening. Before we get into the audit reports, we do have a slide that provides some information about our government team. Our team is quite a bit bigger than just myself and Kristen, although we're the only ones here this evening. Collectively, we serve many governmental clients, including cities, counties, public employee retirement systems, and a variety of special purpose governments. To the audit reports. We issued 2 reports as a result of our audit of the city's financial statements as of and for the fiscal year that ended September 30th, 2021. Both of the reports were issued in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. I'll be covering the opinion on the financial statements, and Kristen will be covering the auditor's communication letter. The city issued an annual comprehensive financial report, or an ACFR, again this year. In addition to the financial section, which is required under generally accepted accounting principles, the ACFR also includes introductory and statistical sections, both of which are additional GFOA requirements, and as such, this report is a sign of excellence in financial reporting. The city received the GFOA's Certificate for Excellence, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting on its fiscal year 20 report, which represents the 32nd consecutive year the city has received this award. A copy of the certificate is shown on the following slide. As I mentioned on a previous slide, the financial section of the report is required under generally accepted accounting principles, so it'll be the focus of our presentation this evening. The financial section of the report includes the components that are listed here, most of which we'll be going over on the following slides. The first component is the independent auditor's report, or the opinion letter, on pages 1 and 2. The key takeaway from this slide is that we issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on the city's financial statements as of and for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2021. This is the best opinion that you can get, and it means that the users of the city's financial statements can rely on them. The MD&A, or the Management's Discussion and Analysis, is the next component on pages 3 through 15. The city's financial statements themselves are not comparative. For this year, only fiscal year 21 is presented, but the MD&A does compare the current year to the prior year and includes a high-level overview of financial and other factors that impact the city and its financial statements. The first set of financial statements presented in the report are the government-wide statements on pages 16 and 17. The city's governmental and business type activities are included in these statements. So everything that the city has to account for, all of its funds, all of its assets, including capital assets, and all of its liabilities, including long-term debt, are reported in these statements. So at a very high level, and I'm sure that table is pretty difficult to read, but at a high level, total assets increased by $9.6 million or 12% due to the new aquatic facility assets being placed in service and GASB 68 activity resulting in an increase in the net pension asset. So that's related to the city's participation in the loggers pension plan. Total liabilities increased $6.5 million or 56% due to the new aquatic facility lease purchase, unspent ARPA funds, and GASB 68 activity. So those ARPA funds are the new federal grant funding for which money was received but not spent as of the end of the year. Total revenue decreased $357,000 or 3%, primarily due to decreases in grants and contributions. A single audit was not required for the city this year. Anytime a governmental entity expends more than $750,000 of federal grant funding, it's required to have a single audit, but due to decreases in grants and contributions, that was not required this year. Total expenses decreased $2.3 million or 18%, primarily due to the city's governmental type expenses. The business type expenses were down as well, but the decrease in governmental type expenses was due to GASB 68 activity and decreased capital outlay activity during fiscal year 21. The second set of financial statements presented in the report are the fund financial statements, and those are on pages 18 through 24. Again, at a very high level for the city's governmental funds, the grant funds became a major fund. Total fund balances for all of the city's governmental funds totaled $9.1 million at the end of fiscal year 21. Total revenues were fairly consistent with the prior fiscal year, but total expenditures increased $2.6 million or 29% due to some capital outlay expenditures. There was an increase in the net change in fund balances. It was a positive $616,000 for fiscal year 21 compared to a negative or a decrease in fund balances of $302,000 for fiscal year 20. At a very high level for the city's proprietary funds, so essentially the city's utility funds, total assets increased by $963,000 or 4%, primarily due to GASB 68 activity resulting in an increase in the net pension asset. Again, that's related to the city's participation in the loggers pension plan. Total deferred outflows of resources decreased $97,000 or 87% due to GASB 68 activity. Total liabilities decreased $575,000 or 7%, primarily due to annual debt service requirements. Also, due to the GASB 68 activity, again, the loggers pension plan, total deferred inflows of resources increased $549,000. And those funds ended the year with total net position of $14.6 million at the end of fiscal year 21. Total operating revenues.
You keep saying GASB 68, and I'm going to play dumb. I can't remember what it stands for.
Yeah, so
What it is.
the Governmental Accounting Standards Board is the regulatory body that sets generally accepted accounting principles for government, such as the city.
What about the 68?
GASB 68 is the statement or the standard number that relates to how governments should apply the pension plan accounting and financial reporting standards. So because the city participates in loggers itself applies GASB 67 and goes through its own audit and actuarial valuations and other reports that are then given to participating employers in the plan to present the balances in their financial statements for deferred outflows and inflows of resources, net pension assets and liabilities. It's all balances and transactions related to the city's participation in the plan.
Thank you.
And there's a very lengthy disclosure in the footnotes if you're interested in reading
Before you
that.
go any further, I have a question too.
Yeah.
When you say the grant funds became a major fund, what determines a major fund?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is based on calculations of 10%, I believe, of total. We look at all of the city's governmental funds, so all of those that are supported by grants or property taxes, use taxes, sales taxes, things like that. And I believe the qualification is if a certain fund has assets, liabilities, revenues, or expenses that exceed 10% individual to that fund, 10% of total governmental activities or total governmental funds, and or 5% of all of the city's governmental and business type activities and funds. So it's a threshold calculation for really just how significant the balance or transactions are in a fund each year.
Grant funds, actually,
I got
one
that.
year might be considered a major fund, and the next year might not, just depends on the activity.
Okay, thank you. That's kind of what I was.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry. Got a little too technical there. And yeah, in any year, a government can elect to present a certain fund as major. If it meets the qualifications or meets those thresholds, it's required to be presented as such, but sometimes it can go below that level and a government still elect to report them as major.
And if I may comment, we made mention of GASB 68 a number of times, which really ties back to loggers. And loggers had a very, very successful asset management year in 21. So it created some large swings of net assets in all of the participants.
Yeah, we're seeing major swings with all of loggers' participating employers. Their actuarial valuation date actually goes back to June 30th of 2021. And as of that point in time during the year, the market was performing very well. So we're seeing significant swings as a result of how, like Roger said, their investments in asset management performed during the year. Any other questions? Those are great questions. Okay. I believe moving on to the income statement for those proprietary funds, total operating revenues decreased by $222,000. The city did lose 2 large commercial customers during fiscal year 21. Total operating expenditures decreased $355,000 due to GASB 68 activity related to the loggers pension plan. Those funds had a continued positive change in net position or net income with an increase compared to the prior fiscal year. The net income, so to speak, for the city's proprietary funds was $893,000 in fiscal year 21 compared to $510,000 in fiscal year 20. After the fund financial statements are the notes to the financial statements on pages 25 through 45. Overall, the notes for the current fiscal year were consistent with the prior fiscal year, and the key notes that support the amounts presented in the city's financial statements are listed on this slide. You can see, since we've been talking about GASB 68 and the loggers pension plan, note 12 spans pages 40 through 43, and that includes a lot of required disclosures and supplemental information to support the city's participation in that plan. Are there any questions about the audit report, specifically the audited financial statements that I know I went over at a very high level? Okay, well, I will turn it over to Kristen to present the auditor's communication letter then.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. As Amanda mentioned, my name is Kristen Brown, and I was the audit supervisor on the City of Mexico audit this year, and I'll be covering the auditor's communication letter. This is a letter that you should have outside of the audited financial statement. I think it's in a separate binding for you. So this letter provides details about our responsibility under generally accepted auditing standards as it relates to the city's audit. This letter communicates the plan, scope, and timing of the audit. So we provide this letter at the end of the audit, and we also provide a planning letter to the mayor at the beginning of the audit covering some of those same topics related to the plan, scope, and timing of our audit. This letter also includes some significant audit findings. So GASB 84 related to fiduciary activities was a statement that was implemented in the current year. This year there was no impact to the financial statements related to this statement, but it will need to be assessed going forward in case any other fiduciary activities are created or completed with the city. It also identifies some upcoming statements that could be required for the city to implement and gives some more detail about these statements in the actual letter. But just to hit the highlights, there is GASB 87, which is related to leases, GASB 89 related to capitalized interest, and GASB 91 related to conduit debt. So we're happy to assist the city. I think we may be helping them with GASB 87, seeing how that may impact the financial statements and if any adjustments or changes in presentation need to be made related to that next year. This letter also identifies some significant estimates that are in the financial statements. So those being the allowance for uncollectible receivable balances, the useful lives of capital assets, the fair value of contributions, as well as the post-closure liability related to the landfill, and then any net pension asset and related deferred outflows and inflows of resources, all related to that logger's pension plan. We also note that the disclosures in the financial statements are neutral, consistent, and clear, and the key disclosures, like Amanda mentioned, were capital assets, debt, commitments, and contingencies, and those were included in the financial statements. We had no difficulties in performing our audit. Vicki and her team are always great to work with, as well as Roger and Bruce. They always provide us anything we request in a very timely manner, so that helps us complete the audit in a timely manner as well, and we really appreciate their help getting this audit completed. There were also no uncorrected misstatements that we noted during the course of our audit, but we did assist management with posting entries related to GASB 68 or the logger's pension plan. We usually receive that information just about the time that we're performing the audit, so that's something that we assist with and is consistent with previous years. And again, no disagreements or difficulties in working with management or anyone involved with the audit. Also included in this letter is information related to internal control for the city. So we do consider internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing our audit procedures, but we do not issue an opinion on the internal control. So our consideration of internal control includes procedures to evaluate the design of the controls and determine whether they were implemented, but we do not include tests of effectiveness of the internal controls as a part of our procedures. Like I said, we do not issue an opinion on internal control, but we do report certain deficiencies if we identify any over the course of our audit. I'm happy to report we did not identify any material weaknesses in the current fiscal year. Any questions related to that letter? Communication.
Questions?
Okay. Well, as always, we really appreciate the opportunity to be of service and provide the audit services for the City of Mexico. We'd be happy to entertain any questions that you have about that process.
No questions. I guess we thank you for your presentation. And thanks to Roger and his staff for keeping everything in order and getting your award one more year for being good work. What, 32 years in a row?
32.
How many years you been here?
It's 95, 27, I guess.
Oh.
27. Somebody gave me a good start.
So I say, looks like somebody started it for you. Thanks, Roger and team. Thanks to Williams Keeper. Okay, at this time, I need a motion to approve the regular session meetings minutes of January 10th.
Move to approve January 10th, 2022 regular session minutes.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to open a public hearing for the rezoning location at 1216 West Liberty.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have a request from Ron and Betty Salmons to rezone property located on West Liberty. The Planning and Zoning Commission has met, reviewed it, had their recommendations, and to cover the matter, Rita Jackson.
Good evening. As stated, this public hearing concerns a request from Ronald and Betty Salmons to rezone their property, which is located at 1216 West Liberty, from I-2 Heavy Industrial District to I-1 Light Industrial. The owners are requesting this rezoning. They have a potential buyer, which is the Auditor County Shelter Resource Coalition, and they would like to construct a homeless shelter on that property. Both the owner and the potential buyer feels that the rezoned use of the property will provide a much-needed service in the community. The coalition's architect, which is Eric Westhew, he was at our January 4th Planning and Zoning meeting, and he gave a presentation which basically stated that the new facility will be about 3,200 square feet and includes 7 to 8 beds for both men and women, as well as bathing areas, washing facilities, and kitchen. He further stated that the property would also allow for future growth. Per City Code in Division 3, I-2 Heavy Industrial District regulations basically state that no residential uses property can be constructed in an I-2, which basically is the reason for this rezoning request, because you cannot have residential in an I-2 industrial district. The city's comprehensive plan shows this area as employment anchor, which is like a business park, which generally represents a wide range of employment generating type business, which it would include office, manufacturing, assembly, warehousing, distribution, storage, etc. Notices were sent to 11 surrounding property owners, notifying them of the requested rezoning. City staff received no written or verbal communication regarding the rezoning request. The Planning and Zoning met January 4th, and they made a motion to make recommendation to City Council to recommend approval. We do have here in the audience Eric Westhew, which will actually present for the Auditor County Shelter Resource Coalition. Staff recommend that council proceed with the advertised public hearing.
And are you going to present something to us, or we have it all right here?
No, I'm going to speak.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to miss you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Westhew. I'm with Westhew Architecture out of Columbia, Missouri. I have been working with Jay Eicher, the president of Auditor County Resource Coalition, for a little over 3 years at this point. We have been exploring a variety of properties for the services that they render to the community. And we have looked at many properties. We have evaluated them, and to no avail. It's just a very complicated scenario to take an existing residential structure and convert it into a shelter, because there are other code requirements for accessibility, for safety purposes, etc. That every avenue that we looked at was just a dead end. And this opportunity came about, and has been something that's been discussed at length. They want to be completely independent, so that they own their own structure, so that they're not just utilizing resources that they're able to get from the community and just use that for rent on a regular basis. So they're really taking a look at this as what is the best long-term approach for themselves, as well as the community, as well as for all the services that they apply. This lot came about as an opportunity to be evaluated, and it's just not in the most ideal location for residential living, but it is ideal for starting a small ground-up shelter from the standpoint we're looking at. Now, you can make fun of my drawings all day long because my feelings won't get hurt. What I presented to you is conceptual. We have talked about a variety of ideas, and I know that there are flaws in the site plan related to some zoning regulations. I know that there are some setback issues that we need to take into consideration. We know that all of that is going to evolve in time as we break through the details, but there are two major components of their operations, and the one is the shelter. And so the first element of that is that the shelter needs to have a place where residents can go where they don't have access into the building at all times of the day. Their programming is that they would like for them to be out in the community trying to find a job or trying to find a situation that can make their situation better in the long run. But there is I'm going to call it the bus stop conditioned entry area where it will always be open 24 hours a day for someone to get in and out of the cold to be able to sit at the front area. When the shelter opens, I think at 7 p.m., and I apologize, when it comes to the operations, Jay and Janelle are here to talk about how the facility actually functions, and from the space planning standpoint, we're going to have sleeping areas for men and women. We want to have opportunity for growth in the future to create family-type sleeping areas. So that isn't part of the first phase. That's part of growth down the road. We also need to have dining facilities. Now, this isn't dining facilities where the residents come in and use the kitchen. There is someone on staff there anytime that there is a resident in the building. There's staff there that takes care of preparing the meals and making that distribution available to them. And then they're monitored, anytime anyone is in the building, there's someone from staff available. Bathing facilities available to them, cleaning facilities for laundry. Currently, in their current location, they don't have all of these resources available at one location, and it takes a whole lot of effort to coordinate all that. The second part of the operations, which was kind of recently added, was the community services side of that, is that they do provide services for training and development and helping people grow and create opportunities for teaching basic skills, etc. And we've separated that from the shelter portion because the grants that are available to them to apply for and to help for the funding of all of this, by having multiple venues, a shelter as well as a community services section, that provides them a greater opportunity for receiving benefits for those purposes. Now, I've pretty much covered the operations of the building. I've looked at other configurations on the site about orienting the building so that it's parallel to Liberty. I've looked at we've talked about maybe orienting it so it's north and south against the west property line and for the parking, etc. But should the zoning be approved, then we'll go through that design process and kind of weigh out the pros and cons of all of those things. Growth for the future is relevant to them, and we don't want to shut ourselves off from making a simple addition to the building to potentially grow to the lot immediately to the west if that becomes an opportunity. So with that being said, I am open to your criticisms of my drawings or whatever questions that you may have. So is there anything I can help you?
Eric, would you tell me who you're with again?
West Hughes Architecture.
You're the architect?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I have been involved in other projects in town. There's a retail shopping center that was recently constructed on Liberty, which is just to the west of United Credit Union, which is another project that I was involved in. So I have been involved in other projects locally.
I do have a question about that, and maybe it's directed to the others who might want to answer this. I was looking at your drawing, and how are you going to deal then with the homeless families that might show up needing shelter? Or have you talked about that? You say adding an addition for them, but how would you deal with it now if you had that?
I would need to ask Janelle or Jay to respond to that.
Okay, we'll just hold that question a minute then.
It's my understanding that, well, I'll just refer to Janelle.
Hi, I'm Janelle Williams. I am the treasurer for Auditor County Shelter Resource Coalition. For families right now, the space we do have does allow us 3 private family rooms. However, in the future, because of this limited ability of our project to make sure we utilize what is most needed in our community, which is primarily single individuals, that's the majority of the people that we see. Going forward, we would probably utilize hotel rooms until we could accommodate families on site.
Okay. Is the need just getting bigger and bigger in this community for homeless?
It is growing. So last season, so we are open currently during the winter season from December until February, December 1st to February 28th. Last season, we saw 45 individuals that stayed in our emergency shelter during that time period. The year before, we saw 28. I believe it was 28 the year before. Just in the month of December this year alone, we had over 25 individuals.
Okay, thank you.
Just as a rough number, how big a project is this? What kind of a dollar project do you expect this to be?
Well, they're going to do the absolute best that they can to minimize the out-of-pocket expenses. They're going to reach out to every single one of you, as well as the businesses in this community, as well as the other organizations to help support this. But in general, with 3,200 square foot building with minimal improvements, it's basic floor coverings, it's paint on drywall, it's minimal, and we're trying to keep the structure at a reasonable size that I think in the $100 to $150 a square foot range in terms of constructing the building and the parking lot. The issues with that are, that's $350,000 to $400,000, and they're going to need as much help as they can, whether that be through grants or donations, et cetera. But we've talked about a variety of ways to request things of that nature.
Well, it sounds like a great
It
project.
sounds like something we need.
Yeah.
It addresses a real need in the community, too.
Anyone else have any questions? Any more comments from the public? If not, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Miller,
Yes?
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Okay, under ordinances, 2 readings by title only passage, Bill number 2022-05, the ordinance rezoning the property located at 1216 West Liberty and amending the district map referred to in sections 42205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri, zoning to I-1 light industrial. Mr. Slagle, anything more to say?
Just that the ordinance been posted the required length of time.
Okay, pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to read.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to read Bill number 2022-05 by title only.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Bill number 2022-05, an ordinance rezoning property located at 1216 West Liberty and amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri, zoning to I-1 light industrial district. I move for second reading Bill number 2022-05.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes. Bill number 2020-205, an ordinance rezoning property located at 1216 West Liberty and amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri to I-1 Light Industrial District. I move for passage of bill number 2020-205.
Second.
Miller.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item are resolutions, and we begin with Bill number 2022-06, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an extension to the city's on-call engineering services agreement with Bartlett and West. Mr. Slager.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a renewal of a contract, and to cover the details, Kenzie Russell.
This is like what we had at the last meeting with engineering surveys and services. Bartlett and West is one of our on-call engineers, and we met with them, reviewed their performance. It's satisfactory. We're recommending renewal under the original contract. This will be the second renewal for them. And so we recommend passage of the resolution.
What kind of price increases are they?
Like everybody else, they are affected by the rise in the minimum wage as well as competition for labor. I did not compare their hourly rates against the previous schedule, but they have gone up some.
I move for reading bill number 2022-06.
Second.
Miller.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-06, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an extension to the city's on-call engineering services agreement with Bartlett and West Incorporated. I move for passage of bill number 2022-06.
Second.
Miller.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-07, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a construction contract with Donaldson Excavation of Mexico, Missouri for the Lakeview Spillway Erosion Control Project. Mr. Slager.
Yes, Your Honor, I think council is familiar with this because we've had a couple of different minor projects with this. This is a result of a dam inspection in order to bring this up to its required standard. And so we took bids on this, and to cover the bids, Kenzie Russell.
As Bruce stated, this rises out of the inspection work done a few years ago by Klingner Engineering and the need to satisfy conditions under that inspection for liability insurance. Also just the need for maintenance. We advertised a base bid here that includes the erosion control downstream from the spillway structure itself, and then the add alternate is to repair the maintenance crossing. If you've been over there, you've seen where that has eroded and collapsed, and the replacement would put in some box culverts, a new deck to be able to get mowers and other park maintenance equipment across the creek there. In looking at the pricing, it does exceed budget. We have already dipped into the line item for a couple of items, including the crack sealing work, which was approved a little earlier. And we are recommending that we proceed, however, because of the inflationary pressure on pricing and the fact that we have a local contractor here available to do the work, and that it has a fairly immediate need to be accomplished. We will have to dip into reserve funds to be able to manage the cost here, but we are recommending going ahead and awarding the base bid and the alternate for a total of $142,524. exactly.
Is this something that'll be started right away, Kinsey, with the dry weather we're having?
It will be somewhat weather dependent. Some of the riprap and stonework could be done immediately. Part of the erosion control structure are precast blocks that are stacked to create stilling pools. Those blocks will take approximately 2 months to be manufactured by the precaster. And so while the work could begin with some of the stonework, completion is going to be a little farther down the road. If we get really wet weather and soft ground, we'll have to suspend operations just because of rutting, getting equipment, trucks and such back and forth.
So, just for my ignorance, I know the Lakeview Spillway. What does downstream mean? Like, how far downstream are we talking from that spillway?
Are you familiar with where the pedestrian bridge crosses?
Yeah.
Part of the work, 2 of the stilling ponds are between the spillway concrete structure and the pedestrian bridge. One is just between the pedestrian bridge and the maintenance crossing.
Okay.
And then the maintenance crossing work is as far, there's a little bit of riprap down from it, but essentially the maintenance crossing is as far as it goes.
Okay.
We're saying we have 90,000 in the budget?
We have, yes, 90,000 in the budget. Some of that's allocated to the crack repair.
It's Charles' pleasure.
I move that for reading by title only of bill number 2022-707.
Second. Miller,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes. Bill number 2022-07, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a construction contract with Donaldson Excavating of Mexico, Missouri for the Lakeview Lake Spillway Erosion Control Project. I move for passage.
Second.
Miller.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Resolution C, Bill number 2022-08, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Dukes 360 for Phase 2 of the I&I, that's I&I, right? Correct. I&I micro detection study. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. This is for inflow issues into the sanitary sewer, and as mentioned, Phase 2. So to cover this, again, Kinsey Russell.
We have a map up on the screen that shows the investigation area that would be covered by this particular contract. The work here involves flow meters that measure the flow during dry weather and wet weather. It includes sonic sounding of the pipe, which allows us to tell whether the pipe has blockages, collapses, that sort of thing in it. And it includes manhole inspections. From this, we'll get a report that will allow us then to make any repairs necessary. Those will be spotted. It allows us to know what the condition of the manholes are, if they need to be lined for infiltration purposes, that sort of thing. Last year, we did a pilot study with Dukes 360 and identified 2 locations that had actual inflow, that is significant water coming in, not just seeping in. And we've repaired both of those locations. They are in this north-central part of the community. And we've chosen to continue with this. It covers a portion of the downtown and a good chunk of area where our sewers are older and our manholes are older. This is a specialized process proprietary to Dukes 360, and so we've negotiated the contract with them for $33,000, and our budget, we did have a budget of $30,000 for the work. We proposed taking the additional funds from the professional services line item in the wastewater budget fund. Any questions?
I mean, reading through it was pretty interesting. What's the cost savings if we find a major inflow and we get that taken care of? Because now we're not cleaning, I guess, clean water, or what we consider. I mean, what's the...
I'd get Roger to help me a little bit. Our cost for, say, 5,000 gallons of water is what you pay for treatment per month. And so if we can eliminate 1,000 gallons or 5,000 gallons from having to treat it, we have a cost savings in our operations, as well as the potential for erosion, pipe collapse, sinkhole underneath the street, or some other issue that would expand on a repair cost.
Do you have any thoughts on what you'll find here? Any guesses, or... I guess, are you scared to find out? I mean, you know, I'm sure we'll find something, but I don't know how old the areas we're going to check, and...
I think we will find some areas, just as we did before. One of the advantages here is that it covers a pretty large area. We are obligated under our CMOM plan, our Capacity Maintenance Operations Plan, to investigate up to 1/7 of our system each year. And so this goes towards that work. It really helps supplement our staff and helps us focus on repairing areas that need it, as opposed to more scattergun, shotgun approach of responding to just complaints.
No, it's neat. It looks neat what they do.
Tell me what green, red, and yellow mean.
The green lines, that's part of the original pilot area that you see, and the green lines are lines that are in good shape. The yellow are in fair shape. The red are lines that need attention, that we focus on. I don't remember the color code for the manholes. The dots there are purple, blue, and green precisely, but I believe we had 20 some odd manholes that need some attention, and so we're looking at taking care of that in our annual slip lining and manhole lining budget this year.
So
Can I add
what
one?
you're saying is that you got this project to detect everything. 7 years, right? 1/7 you said for that. And then will it take that long?
Our CMOM plan requires us to investigate 1/7 of our total city system each year. And this will not be an entire 1/7, but it will go towards meeting that requirement of investigating. Then whatever we find, it may take us 6 months
that's
to
another
fix,
problem.
or it might take us a year or 2 years to fix, so depending on the quantity of things that there is.
Can I add Councilman Hay asked what the savings were. I think I would be correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we first started this whole sewage thing, there was plans for a second holding pond because we had so much stuff, and we basically don't need that anymore. And over time, I mean, we at first we were going to need a whole nother bond issue of a couple million, wasn't it? That we were on, and we've been able to save where we didn't need that now. So I mean, the cost savings of doing this has been
Through staff and consultants over the years, I think we have probably reduced the average base flow through the plant by a couple 100,000 gallons a day. That we're still running around, or run around 2 million gallons a day average at the plant. The design is 3 million. So we have some capacity for economic development or subdivision housing development in terms of plant treatment. We do have to kind of be careful about what goes on where in the community due to pipe sizing, but
It really helps the homeowners too in the area, because those lines get full from all the I&I, and where does it find relief points?
That's what I was thinking about cost savings. Is citizens.
there is a citizen cost saving.
Yes, there is. Okay, pleasure of the board.
I move for reading of bill number 2022-08.
Second.
Miller?
Yes.
Williams?
yes.
Hay?
Yes.
Shivers? Yes. Briggs?
Yes.
Bill number 2022-08, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Dukes 360 for Phase 2 of the I&I micro detection study. I move for passage of bill number 2022-08.
Second.
Miller?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Hay?
Yes.
Shivers? Yes. Briggs?
Yes.
Next is other business, staff report, purchase of a 30-foot deck equipment trailer for the street department. Mr. Spiegel.
Yes, we have received bids, and to cover the bids for this project, Kenzie Russell again.
Rita and I conspired on the agenda tonight. This purchase is for a new equipment trailer that is a load trailer that we can haul the excavator and skid steers around town on. It replaces a 1984 model trailer that we currently have. It also has a little higher load capacity. We had budgeted $33,000 for the purchase. The low bid, I'm pleased to say, from Coke Trailer Sales is $26,246. So we are within budget with this particular purchase.
Questions?
How fast will you get it?
I believe they have it available. I believe that was my understanding.
Awesome.
Charles, pleasure.
I move for purchase of the 30-foot deck trailer for the street department from Coke Trailer Sales in Martinsburg, Missouri for $26,246.
Second.
Miller?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Hay?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is staff report, the purchase of 15-foot flex wing rotary cutter for the use at the Mexico Memorial Airport. Mr. Slagle.
We'll go right back
Mr.
to Kenzie to cover the bids.
Kenzie's been busy tonight.
This is a case actually comes from the airport budget, which is not my department, but we support Russell in doing these sort of things, helping write specs for the equipment, etc. The batwing or flex wing mower that is used out at the airport is a 2011 model. This would replace that. The low bid is from Site and Stricker Nobby Partners for a John Deere brand at $17,463.97. We had budgeted $16,000 for that. We'll need to make the difference up out of other capital items from the airport budget. But we would recommend this purchase.
Are we trading one in?
We will sell the old at auction along with the previous trailer and other pieces of equipment.
So that might make up the $1,463.97?
Potentially, it could.
Okay.
Okay. I move that we purchase the 50-foot flex-ring rotary cutter from Site Stricker Navi Partners for $16,463.97.
Second.
Miller,
Yes?
Williams,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Next item is the payment of the claims.
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Miller,
Yes?
Williams,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Next item is comments, and we begin with the council. We'll begin with Steve Haig.
The report from last week, good to see it looked like we're building some new homes and getting some stuff going, so that's always good. Great job on the financial report and the financial group, and good job on the award, and always I'm glad you people do that, because I start looking at numbers and they get all confusing, so it's good to have people that know that and have our city in good financial standing. So that's it for me.
I'm going to say great job as usual, Roger, and your team. I know Vicki does a lot there, so tell her congrats as well. Then I'm going to talk about the homeless shelter. I have donated time and stuff from our store over the years. It's exciting to see this kind of progress being made, so hopefully it continues that way. And then on the flip side, on the bad side, that I'm going to say is, were we short-staffed on the snow removal, or?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Everybody's short-staffed.
Well, I'm just going to say I was, so are they able to deviate at all from what they do, or do they have like set they have to do? And let me tell you why, because I started getting messages. I didn't go to work till later that day. I started getting messages, and people couldn't get out of their main streets, and then they were going up in certain streets, like the square was like they were moving the snow and piling it. And I get that we have contingencies there, but I'm like, can we not just run that through? Because, like, for example, nobody had even touched in front of the MMA, which there's kids there. And then when I drove around, for some strange reason I cannot explain, they were plowing AP Green property before they were plowing the MMA. And I'm like, what? There's not even anybody back there. They were plowing the road that used to be Abacus, or not, what the place that burns stuff back there. And they aren't even there anymore, so I have no idea. Arch, yeah. No idea why they were even plowing that road before they were plowing other things. So I don't know if they were new people, or I know they were short-staffed, but I just didn't know if they just had certain things they had to do at first, or what.
I don't know the answer totally on all of that. We are short, we're down 2 positions in the street department right now, and so we did have to borrow a person from wastewater, and we had the mechanic in a truck for a while also during this last storm event. And we've currently got, I don't think he was out at the time, but we have a guy out on COVID now as well. So, yes, we were short-handed. We did have some new guys in equipment, and these are good comments for evaluation. We'll do a little shakedown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I just, my thing was, I was like, the MMA, I thought that was like a priority route down through there with the kids being in class. Right. And it hadn't been touched, because I had to go down that way to get out of my road, which was fine. My road, I understand, but that's usually plowed down through there, and I come back and then I drive by and I'm like, why are they plowing the AP Green property? What is going on over here? So, thanks. That's it.
Mrs. Briggs.
Well, I, along with some of you, went to the MLK celebration in the courthouse, and it was really a really good celebration, and it was very entertaining, and all of it was good. All the kids that did the choir, they had middle school kids who read their essays, And then they had the choir sing, and it was really very, very good, and your son was right in the middle of that, Steve. And the speakers were great, so anyway, and the turnouts was good. So I was really pleased with it.
Dr. Shivers?
Awesome, just happy to see, I ditto everything that's been said. Another shout out to the Bulldog basketball team. They are truly rocking it. I saw where your granddaughter, I mentioned it, made her 1,000 points the other last week, so congratulations. Everything else is pretty good.
Mr. Schlegel?
Yeah, Sharon, one thing is that our wastewater superintendent has announced his retirement. And we have done interviews, and we will be making a promotion from within to that position.
Okay. Well, for me, I just like to say that I agree with Mrs. Briggs. The Martin Luther King celebration was good. The speaker was awesome. Must have been Baptist. I mean, it was.
He's CME.
Okay. Well, I mean, he was beating on the podium. We were getting the whole dose there. Really quite entertaining. Quite good.
He kept making comments about himself. It was just funny.
It was funny. And she mentioned the choir. The choir song was excellent. It was performed really well, and it was to the point. So that was really a good thing. And to kind of go along with Dr. Shivers, the Bulldog girls are doing pretty good. The Bulldog boys are doing tremendous. You have a chance to go see them. Friday night's going to be a barn burner again. We're going to play Kirksville. Kirksville's only lost 2 games, both of them to us.
Can you beat them a
So
third time?
that's going to be tough. With all that said, which doesn't mean a whole lot exactly, we'll go to public comments. Anybody in the public like to make a comment, please come to the podium. State your name and address and try to hold your comments within 3 minutes. Seeing nobody coming forward, I move we adjourn into executive session pursuant to Missouri 610-021 litigation matters.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.